All right, so are you ready to kind of instantly level up your social game?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, today we're diving into something that can like really make a difference. Like how to just effortlessly talk about your hobbies and interests in English.
I love it.
So think about, you're at a party
Mm-hmm.
or a networking event
Yeah.
and you want to like make a connection with
Right.
someone.
Yeah.
That's what this deep dive is all about.
I love that.
We're going to give you the tools to do that.
Yeah.
And what's cool is that our source material is uh, a bit meta today.
Okay.
We're going behind the scenes of an English learning podcast.
Oh, very meta.
Yeah, it's hosted by these two, Sunny and Julia,
Okay.
and they're super personable.
Okay.
And they're really good at breaking down complex topics.
Nice.
So I think you're really going to enjoy this.
I'm excited. It's interesting how they don't just, give you a list of phrases
Oh, right.
to memorize, right?
Yeah.
They help you to express yourself authentically.
Yes, and I noticed that too.
Yeah.
Like, they do start with these basic building blocks, like,
Yeah.
I spent my weekend or I practiced.
Yeah, yeah.
But then they quickly move beyond just like
Right.
the surface.
What I like is that they encourage you to like really infuse your personality
Yeah.
into those phrases.
Yeah.
So instead of saying, I spent my weekend hiking,
Yeah.
it's like, I spent my weekend exploring this new trail,
Mhm.
in the mountains, and the view from the top was just breathtaking.
Oh, that's so much better.
And
And so much more engaging.
yes.
And then it makes me want to ask questions about it
Exactly.
and keep the conversation going.
Yeah, and it gives a little glimpse into your world as
Yeah.
to why you find that hobby so fulfilling.
It's like you're sharing a little bit about yourself.
Exact,
Without like
James.
giving too much away.
Yeah, you're not just stating facts, you're really conveying your enthusiasm,
Yes.
your passion.
Exactly.
And that's where those descriptive details come in. They paint a more vivid picture.
I love the example they give about reading.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying like, I like reading.
Right.
They're like, I enjoy curling up with a good mystery novel
Yeah.
on a rainy Sunday afternoon.
Yes.
It helps me escape reality
Oh, yeah.
and enter a world of intrigue.
It creates an image in your mind. You can like practically feel
Yes.
the cozy atmosphere and the sense of anticipation.
I don't know what they're reading right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what's so cool about that.
It just sparks that curiosity
Yeah.
and opens up the conversation.
It's like a little hook.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Conversational hooks.
I'm really seeing how these like seemingly simple tweaks
Yes.
can make a big difference.
a huge difference
Yeah.
in how we present ourselves.
Yeah.
It's about finding that sweet spot
Yeah.
between giving enough information to
No.
be interesting
Right.
without overwhelming the person
Right.
with too much detail.
It's all about balance.
Yeah.
It's a balancing act.
But the payoff is big.
Huge.
So Sunny and Julia also talk about the power of personal anecdotes.
Yes.
So instead of just saying, I like to cook,
Right.
you could share a little story
Hmm.
about a memorable cooking experience.
Love that.
Like, I recently tried this new recipe for Thai curry,
Okay.
and it was a disaster. I accidentally added way too much chili powder,
Ow.
and my whole family was sweating while they were eating it.
Oh, no.
But we had a good laugh about it.
At least you had a good laugh.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That's so much better than just saying, I like to cook.
So much more memorable.
It is.
And it shows that you're comfortable
Yeah.
sharing a bit of yourself,
Yeah.
which encourages the other person to do the same.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we've talked about adding descriptive details,
Mhm.
personal stories.
Yes.
But what about those moments where, like,
Yeah.
the conversation starts to fizzle out a little?
Right.
What do we do then? Sunny and Julia have a brilliant tip for that.
Okay.
They emphasize the importance of asking follow-up questions
Okay.
to show genuine interest
Okay.
and to keep the conversation flowing.
But not just any questions, right?
Exactly.
Wait,
It's all about asking those open-ended questions
Yeah.
that invite the other person to elaborate and share more about their thoughts and experiences.
I like that.
It's moving beyond those simple yes or no questions.
Yeah.
So instead of asking,
Oh.
do you like to cook?
Yeah.
You could ask,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of cuisine do you enjoy cooking the most?
Oh, that's a really good example.
You know?
Yeah, it really makes the other person think more deeply about it
Exactly.
and share something more specific.
Yes.
I like that a lot.
And as they're answering,
Yeah.
you can listen actively and look for opportunities to connect their response
Yeah.
to your own experiences.
I see what you're saying.
So if they say,
Yeah.
I love cooking Italian food because it reminds me of my grandmother's kitchen,
Well,
you could share a similar story
Yeah.
about your own family's culinary traditions.
Yes, exactly.
It creates a sense of shared understanding
Yes.
and strengthens the bond between you.
I'm realizing that there's so much more to having a good conversation
Yeah.
than just knowing the right words.
Mm-hmm.
It's about making that genuine connection
Yes.
and making the other person feel heard.
Absolutely. Understood.
You've hit the nail on the head.
I think so.
It's about building rapport
Yeah.
and establishing common ground.
Now, Sunny and Julia also sprinkle in some really useful vocabulary
Oh, absolutely.
throughout their podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I found myself jotting down a few words
Okay.
that I thought would be great additions
Okay.
to like anyone's conversational toolkit.
Absolutely. They have a knack for introducing vocabulary
Yes.
in a way that's natural
Yes.
and unintimidating.
I agree.
Yes.
One word that stood out to me was pastime.
Oh, it's a simple word, but it sounds so much more elegant than just saying hobby, doesn't
It
it?
does.
Yeah.
It adds a touch of sophistication to your language.
Yeah.
Like, imagine saying
Right.
one of my favorite pastimes is collecting vintage postcards.
Ooh, I like that.
It just sounds more refined.
It does.
Yes.
Right. And they also introduce the word enthusiast,
Yes.
which is perfect for describing someone who's like truly passionate about something.
Yes.
Like he's a real film enthusiast.
Mhm.
He spends hours watching classic movies
Yeah.
and can tell you everything about different directors
Yeah.
and cinematic techniques.
I love it.
It paints such a vivid picture.
It does.
And then there's the phrase passionate about,
Yes.
which is another way to express that strong interest.
Yes.
They give the example, she's passionate about sustainable living
Mhm.
and is always looking for ways to reduce her environmental impact.
Yes.
You can feel the conviction in that statement.
It's contagious.
It is. And lastly, they talk about the verb to unwind,
Yeah.
which is all about finding ways to relax and de-stress.
Mm.
I love Sunny's example.
Okay.
After a long day at work,
Yeah.
I like to unwind by listening to some soothing music
Mm-hmm.
and sipping a cup of herbal tea.
Ah, that sounds so relaxing.
It does, right?
Yeah.
It makes me want to go pour myself a cup of tea.
Me too.
But speaking of unwinding, Sunny and Julia don't shy away from addressing the often dreaded
I know.
topic of pronunciation.
Yes, pronunciation can be tricky,
Oh, it can.
especially for words that have sounds that don't exist in your native language.
Right.
It can be a challenge.
Yeah, but they break it down so well.
They do.
Like with the word enthusiast,
Uh-huh.
they really emphasize the stress
Yes.
on the second syllable
Right.
and that the sound,
Mm-hmm.
which can be a bit of a tongue twister.
It can be.
I know.
Yeah.
They encourage listeners to practice saying the words slowly at first
Yeah.
and then gradually increase their speed. Such a helpful tip.
Yeah.
I also appreciate how they emphasize the importance of listening to native speakers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And mimicking their intonation.
Yes.
It's all about training your ear
Mhm.
to pick up on those subtle nuances of pronunciation.
And they don't just focus on individual words.
Right.
They also demonstrate how to pronounce those words
Yeah.
within full sentences.
Right, because the way we pronounce words can change slightly depending on the context. Like
Yeah.
with the word passionate,
Yeah.
the stress shifts to the first syllable when it's used before a noun, as in, he's a passionate musician.
Wow, that's such a subtle difference.
I know.
But it makes a big impact on how natural your speech sounds.
It does.
Yeah. And they highlight similar shifts in pronunciation
Yeah.
with words like pastime and unwind,
Mm.
depending on their placement in a sentence.
It's amazing how much thought goes into pronunciation.
I know, right?
But it all comes together beautifully in the final part
Yeah.
of Sunny and Julia's podcast,
Right.
where they do a role play scenario.
Yes.
I love that part.
I too.
Yeah.
It's my favorite part.
They simulate a party setting
Uh-huh.
where two people meet for the first time
Right.
and strike up a conversation about their hobbies.
It's so cool.
It's like getting a front row seat to a masterclass in small talk.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
I love it.
And what's so clever is how they break down each step of the interaction.
Yeah.
They point out the nuances of body language,
Okay.
turn-taking, and active listening.
I like it.
For example, they highlight how important it is
Yeah.
to make eye contact and smile when
Yeah.
you're first meeting someone.
Right.
It shows that you're approachable
Right.
and genuinely interested in what they have to say.
I agree.
And they emphasize the importance of using open body language.
Okay.
Like, don't cross your arms or look away while the other person is talking.
Yeah.
It can make you seem closed off or disinterested.
Little things like that make a big difference.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
They also talk about the art of mirroring,
Okay.
where you subtly mimic the other person's posture and gestures
Yeah.
to create a sense of connection.
That's so interesting.
It's fascinating how those subconscious cues can influence our perception of someone.
It really is.
And then there's the whole dance of turn-taking.
Yeah.
Sunny and Julia really stress the importance of listening
Mm-hmm.
more than you speak,
Right.
especially when you're first getting to know someone.
Yeah, it's all about finding that balance, right?
Exactly.
Between like sharing your own thoughts and experiences, but giving the other person space to do the same.
Yes. Because it's tempting to just want to fill every silence with your own stories.
It is.
But sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is
Right.
just listen attentively.
I agree.
And when you do speak,
Yeah.
make sure your responses are relevant
Okay.
to what the other person has said.
Yeah.
Don't just jump in with a completely unrelated anecdote.
Oh, that's a great point.
It shows that you're actually paying attention and that you value their input.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to ask clarifying questions, too.
Yes.
If you don't understand something,
Absolutely.
it shows that you're engaged and that you want to learn more.
Exactly.
So it's really all about being present and mindful in the conversation.
Exactly. And Sunny and Julia even touch on the importance of nonverbal cues,
Okay.
like nodding your head
Right.
and making those little sounds of agreement
Yeah.
to show that you're following along.
Those little signals go a long way
Yes, they do.
in making the other person feel heard and validated.
And if there's a lull in the conversation,
Yeah.
don't panic.
Okay.
Sunny and Julia have some great tips
Oh.
for gracefully transitioning to a new topic
Right.
or politely excusing yourself from the conversation if needed.
So you're never left feeling stranded or awkward?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They give you the tools to navigate those social situations
Yeah.
with confidence and finesse.
I feel like we've uncovered a treasure trove of insights
We have.
from Sunny and Julia's podcast.
It's been a real deep dive
It is.
into the art of conversation.
So what are some key takeaways
Okay.
for our listener who wants to become a more confident
Okay.
and engaging conversationalist?
Well, first and foremost,
Yeah.
remember to be your authentic self.
Yes.
Don't try to force a persona or pretend to be someone you're not.
Right.
People can sense inauthenticity a mile away.
Oh, they can.
And don't be afraid to share your passions.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they seem a little quirky or unusual,
Yeah.
you never know. You might just find that you have something in common with someone
Right.
who seems completely different from you on the surface.
Yeah, that's so true.
And when you're talking about your hobbies,
Yeah.
remember to paint a picture with your words.
Yes.
Use descriptive language, share personal anecdotes,
Uh-huh.
and connect your interests to your values and experiences.
Okay, got it.
And remember the power of those follow-up questions. They're the key to keeping the conversation flowing.
Yes.
And showing that you're genuinely interested in what the other person has to say.
I agree.
And practice, practice, practice.
Yes.
The more you put these techniques into action,
Mm-hmm.
the more natural and effortless they will become.
I think so too.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's all part of the learning process.
It is.
Absolutely.
Now that you've learned all these tips and tricks,
Mhm.
what hobby will you strike up a conversation about?
I love that.
Yeah.
Think of a vivid description, maybe a funny anecdote,
Yeah.
and get ready to share your passion with the world.
Share it with the world.
And that brings us to the end of another deep dive. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
I did.
Until next time,
Yeah.
keep exploring
Keep learning.
and keep those conversations going.
Yes. And it's like you get to see exactly how it's done. you know?
Exactly.
It's really cool.
like a blueprint.
Yeah. And they point out these little nuances. It's like body language, turn taking, and active listening.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, they highlight how important it is to like make eye contact
Right.
and smile when you're first meeting someone.
It shows that you're approachable
Yeah.
and genuinely interested in what they have to say.
Right.
It makes a big difference.
And they talk about open body language, like
Yeah.
don't cross your arms
Mm-hmm.
or look away while the other person's talking.
Yeah.
Because it makes you seem closed off and disinterested.
Right.
Yeah. Those little things make a big difference.
Huge difference.
And they also talk about the art of mirroring.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Where you subtly mimic the other person's posture and gestures.
To create a sense of connection.
It's amazing
Yeah.
how our subconscious can
I know.
influence our perception
It's fascinating.
of someone.
Yeah. And then Sunny and Julia also talk about that dance.
Yeah.
Turn taking.
Turn taking. I like that. They really stress the importance of listening
Yeah.
more than you speak.
Especially when you're first getting to know someone
Right.
because you want to give them space
Yeah.
to share.
It's so tempting to fill the silence with our own stories.
Yes,
But sometimes the best thing we can do is just listen.
I know.
Yeah.
Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just listen attentively.
And when you do speak,
Yeah.
make sure that your responses are like relevant
Yes.
to what the other person is saying.
Exactly. Don't just jump in
Yeah.
with a totally unrelated anecdote.
Right.
It shows that you're paying attention.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to ask clarifying questions.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're not sure you understand something.
Yeah, because it shows that you're engaged,
Yeah.
that you want to learn more.
So it's all about being present and mindful
Mhm.
in the conversation.
Sunny and Julia also touch on the importance of nonverbal cues,
Oh, yeah. Like what?
like nodding your head and making little sounds of agreement. Right.
Just to show that you're following along.
I do that all the time.
We all do.
Yeah, and if there's a lull in the conversation,
Yeah.
don't panic.
Don't panic.
Sunny and Julia have got you covered.
They do.
Yeah, they have tips
Mm-hmm.
for gracefully transitioning to a new topic
Yeah.
or like politely excusing yourself from the conversation.
If needed.
If you need to.
Yeah.
They give you all the tools you need
They do.
to navigate social situations with confidence.
With confidence and finesse.
Yes, and finesse.
I love that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I feel like we've uncovered a treasure trove
We had.
of insights from Sunny and Julia's podcast.
It's been a real deep dive
It has.
into the art of conversation.
So what are some key takeaways for our listener
Okay.
who wants to become a more confident and
Yeah.
engaging conversationalist?
Well, first and foremost, remember to be your authentic self.
Yes.
Don't try to force a persona
Right.
or pretend to be someone you're not.
Right. People can sense inauthenticity.
They can a mile away.
And don't be afraid to share your passions,
Mhm.
even if they seem a little quirky or unusual.
Right.
You never know. You might just find that you have something in common
Yeah.
with someone who seems totally different from you on the surface.
That's so true.
And when you are talking about your hobbies, remember to paint a picture with your words,
Mm-hmm.
use descriptive language,
Yeah.
share personal anecdotes,
Yeah.
connect your interests to your values and experiences.
I love that.
And remember the power of those follow-up questions.
Yes.
They're key to keeping the conversation flowing.
And showing genuine interest.
Exactly.
And practice, practice, practice.
Absolutely.
The more you put these techniques into action,
Uh-huh.
the more natural and effortless they will become.
They will.
So now that you've learned all these tips and tricks,
Yes.
what hobby will you strike up a conversation about?
Oh, I love that.
Think of a vivid description,
Yes.
a funny anecdote,
Mm-hmm.
and get ready to share your passion with the world.
Share it with the world.
And that brings us to the end of another deep dive.
It does.
We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
Until next time,
Until next time.
keep exploring, keep learning,
Yeah.
and keep those conversations going.
Yes.